I've been asked, why do I drive a truck? Well, where do you get to see this every day? I mean, come on, it reminds me of when I was a kid and I played with Matchbox cars. It is freaking awesome. Oh my gosh, I got to see this every day when I worked at the port, except for it was someone else playing with the toys and not me, but it's still fun watching. Everybody thought I was crazy because I loved my job, but I was like a big kid around these huge boats and cranes. And look at that. That is awesome. I mean, come on, look at the size of that boat. It is so cool. And the crane is massive. Oh my gosh. And even stuff like this is like urban graffiti. I found beauty everywhere, everywhere around me. It was like art. Not that. That's not good. Not good art. That's bad. And I can't read this any better than you, but it says something about being fumigated with something very toxic, and I was supposed to inspect the inside of it. I wasn't very thrilled. But that, wow, that made the whole day worth it. That's one of the things I love about being a truck driver is the sunsets, sunrises and sunsets. Awesome, freaking awesome. And I get to see them all the time. Another huge bonus about being a truck driver. I mean, look at that. It's just stunning. Wow. Why do I like to drive a truck? Huh. The open road. Look at some of the things I've got to see. Now, this may not seem like much to you, but oh my gosh, for somebody from the East Coast, I grew up in the Southeast. And the first time I got to go west, I was like, wow. My aunt told me once, after looking at some of the pictures that I took, that it looked like another planet. And I totally agree. It was like visiting another planet when I saw these places for the first time. It was just mesmerizing. I couldn't go to sleep. I was teaming at the time and I was supposed to be sleeping, and I'm up taking pictures and pictures and more pictures. I was like a little kid who had just got to leave the house for the first time in her life. And I was fascinated. So driving a truck to me has been one big adventure. Not saying that it's perfect, but it's a heck of a lot of fun for me. I've always loved sightseeing, and I get to see all kinds of cool stuff. However, one of the bad things about driving a truck is, like when most of these pictures were taken, I was teaming and doing a lot of expedited freight, FedEx, Conway, UPS. I've been really close to some really cool stuff that I would really love to have seen, but I didn't have the time to stop. Well, I'm not a company driver anymore, so I try to stop and smell the roses whenever I can. And when I get laid over, I try to go explore whatever's nearby, or try to plan it where I can get laid over somewhere close to something cool so I can go exploring. Just a couple years ago, my son was with me and we got laid over in Washington State, and we hiked up into the mountains. There was a trailhead across the street from the TA. We walked over there and we took a lunch and some water and our cameras, aka our smartphones, and we were gone all day long. We hiked out 10 miles and 10 miles back, and it was awesome. I have some videos I'm going to share with you guys in the next segment probably, but it's something I'm sure he will never forget. It was a lot of fun and we made some great memories. So layovers don't always have to be bad, although a lot of the times they suck. Being a company driver was a double-edged sword. It gave me the experience that I needed, and it gave me the opportunity to try a lot of stuff before I decided to get into being an owner-op and driving for myself. I've done just about everything you can think of: tanker, flatbed, dry van, reefer. Heck, I even pulled cattle for a week to see if I liked it. I've pulled hazmat. I think I've done just about everything. Containers, a lot of different stuff. Gave me a lot of opportunities. This is another thing I did not like about being a company driver: cleaning dirty trucks. Every time I switched companies, I had to clean a nasty truck. And some of these trucks were really filthy. I mean, look at that. You may not be able to tell how dirty it is, but look at that. That's how dirty it was. And yuck. Not something I enjoyed. Another thing I did not like were the drop-in hooks or preloaded trailers. This guy picked up this trailer and he hardly belly strapped anything. It was chain link fencing. This was a load, preloaded. It was supposed to have been dry. Had to tarp it, supposed to be dry. This was a preloaded trailer at the port I was supposed to pick up. Huh. Yeah. And oh, hey dispatcher, can I have an overweight permit? It seems like I've been hauling a lot of overweight stuff lately. Oh, well, what do you mean we don't have enough to go around? Well, I'm a company driver. I don't get an overweight permit? What do I got to do? Buy it myself? And let's not forget, one of the best things about being a company driver was the Qualcomm and E-Logs. Yeah, I don't really mean that, I'm being sarcastic. Saw a lot of interesting places as a truck driver that I never would have seen otherwise. This is the caves in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri. Pretty interesting having to navigate around these huge stone columns and back into a dock. Not something I'll forget. But we did go there in the winter, so we got to see these cool icicles and the snow on the ground. Very scenic. This is another cool scenic thing I saw out west. I don't even remember what state this was, but I see these things going down the road all the time, and they are huge. So I thought it'd be cool to take a picture of one up close, show you guys. This is Pittsburgh, and I got to deliver to downtown Pittsburgh when I was pulling a reefer. That was a lot of fun. And this is the TA that my son and I parked at and walked across the street to the trailhead and went hiking. This is a rest area out west. I wish I could remember where it is. I've racked my brain. I cannot remember, but it was so beautiful. And that I walked over to the edge of the rest area, and that's what I saw. It was gorgeous. This I do know. This was in western Colorado, and this also was Colorado. This is not far from Vail, Colorado. This was June. Yeah, it was pretty cool. This is Utah, famous salt flats. Another awesome place. What do I love about Flatbed? Yep, the people. You get to meet some pretty interesting people, like this guy. I met him when I was picking up a load in Virginia. And needless to say, we've become pretty good friends. We even try to run loads together whenever possible. Pretty cool. This is a guy I met, and he had the coolest truck. I don't really know him, but he had a cool truck. And he was like, go ahead, take it for a spin. I'm like, no, dude, you do want your truck back, right? Another thing I didn't really like is in a flatbed, they wanted you to get up against the dock as close as possible. And you had to back into a lot of tight places and back into a dark building like a black hole, like this place. Except I had to back all the way through the entire, look how far back I am. I had to back around all kinds of stuff to get back there, even though you can't really tell. This was a load as a company driver. It wasn't supposed to rain. That was my tarp job. Yeah, I didn't like doing that. Interesting place I delivered to. This is the oil fields in South Dakota. I'm sorry, North Dakota. And this was a pretty easy load going to Texas. These things are called roof curbs, whatever that is. And this is LTL. That's part 2. I got loaded. The green thing didn't take nearly as long as the orange one. It's another LTL part 1 and part 2. Paid pretty good. LTLs usually pay pretty well if you can get enough of them. This was a cool load, easy load, super friendly people. That was a fun one to pick up. This was interesting. This was a piece for the railroad. That was fun. That was not fun. I actually got an overweight ticket on that one because I wasn't paying attention to how they loaded me. Some bricks I got to haul. The guy was not happy because I couldn't haul enough bricks. That was some more equipment. I love hauling equipment. Super easy. This is the second time I loaded in the street, and the second time I got fussed at by a local resident. And that's part 2 of that LTL. That was a pretty cool load. And this I had just gotten unstrapped. I was waiting for somebody to unload me, and this is what it looks like when I had it strapped. And after I figured out how to strap it, those loads weren't too bad. This is a load of pipe. Pretty rushed by the guys who loaded me. I didn't really have enough straps. This is a load of plate I had as a company driver, no tarp. This also is a load of plate, but as you can see, I had to tarp it. Another load I had with the company that I used to work for was another tarp load. This, I believe, was a tarp load also, which didn't make any sense because they rushed us outside and we had to strap it and tarp it outside. This was a preloaded trailer. I swapped my 48 for a 53 foot, and this is the load I picked up. This is when I was hauling with the covered wagon. We pulled a lot of aluminum. And these things look huge. Well, they are. They're huge, but they don't weigh as much as you'd think. That huge coal is only 30,000 pounds. This was interesting. Am I going to take the side off, or am I going to like lay across the load and reach my arm down in there? That's what I did. I laid across the load. Took me forever. It was a pain in the butt. This was a tall load. I'm short. Couldn't get the strap across, so I used a smaller strap to pull the big one across, because there you go. How about a better question? What do I not like about driving a truck? Yeah, traffic. And it's LA, what do you know? They don't have traffic, do they? Yeah, that's another thing about driving that sucks, is you get to see wrecks sometimes, and it may take hours for you to be able to move. Some traffic I don't mind. It's actually kind of cute. Waiting for hours to get unloaded. Hello? I'm here. Where is everybody? Well, at least there's nobody here. I don't have to wait in line, so maybe it won't take very long for me to get unloaded, right? I wish. Even though I don't have to wait behind anybody, I still gotta wait for them to come unload me. Luckily, some places you get a warning from previous victims. And some places you just learn the hard way. But luckily, it usually doesn't take hours when you're pulling a flatbed. That's one of the things I like about flatbed. Yeah, I love the small towns. So scenic. I love getting off the beaten path and taking the back roads every now and then. I love old buildings. I could spend all day taking pictures of historic buildings. I'm a sucker for history, or at least historic places. Some of the back roads make me a little nervous though. Don't look like you should be there with a truck. But hey, you get to see cool stuff like this. That's what I'm talking about. And I've had a couple of co-pilots. This one is named Diesel. He was my first. My son loved him so much he took him home with him. And this is Maya. Maya is a cool cat. Well, I don't have her anymore. Went home for home time and let her out to go run around, and she never came home. She kept me very entertained. She was a lot of fun. I really miss her. Smart cat. Shake. Maya. Sit. Shake. Shake. Yeah, she's like, where's my food now? Hey, thanks for watching. Check out part 2.